Let's start with Sharon.
Let's start with Sharon.
Let's start with Sharon.
All right.
You're the reason this is all happening today.
Yeah, you brought it all together. Thank goodness.
Yeah, so going on at the Art Center, we came back into a new building in 2021, and there was the pandemic, and so there was a lot of rebuilding going on, and there still is.
Were you all homeless at that point? Was this the homeless years? Okay.
Yeah, so
before
right
2021,
before, right
Okay.
before, and they were working on the new building. Everything was shut down from the pandemic, so all of the programs that they had going all came kind of to a halt. I think they were still doing summer camps and things like that, but everything had kind of stopped for a little while. Okay. So they, when we started in this new building, everything had to kind of be rebuilt. It all kind of just had to be either started or continued from what had been before. And so we have a really great education coordinator, Anna Lauren, who has done so much to bring stuff back and to start new things. And so she's started the toddler hours every month.
Yeah, once a month, the first Tuesday of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Toddler hours. They've also had family events, and these are all free events that they offer the community. So the family events are for every exhibit we have. So about every 2 months or so, we have a family day event where the community is invited to come see the art exhibit, but also to do activities that relate to it. There's usually like food trucks, face painting, all sorts of things to connect.
Deer and out in the back.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. And for some people, it's the first time they've come in. There were people who knew about the Art Center when it was at MCC and at the Cameron House at MCC. But there's so many new families that have come to Waco since then that the Art Center is something completely new to them. And they are kind of connecting with it in a new way than before in the past. So those events are really great for bringing people in. And we have those going, as well as classes that are offered throughout the year. And then we have summer camps coming up, which those have been for a long time. One of kind of Art Center's signature events for kids, but they're just getting better and better. So that's really great. What's
the main way that you get the word out to families? Like, how do you publicize? How do you promote? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Well, I think we've looked at so many different options, especially since now the Art Center is really harnessing social media and using those avenues. So I would say like social media, as well as flyers, contacting other businesses and organizations and kind of like sharing information with them that they can get out to the community as well. Yeah,
we have a really good relationship with the Waco Tribune.
Okay.
And a lot because of Sharon's position now, we have built up and really created wonderful relationships with Waco ISD. And I think that that is our best outlet to get information out to kids in the community.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Kind of harnessing schools, because that's where a lot of information goes out to students and families, and maybe they don't see it in other ways, but when the school pushes it, it's something that a large audience is going to see.
Yeah.
And be accessible to them.
So you kind of pioneered that relationship, or re-pioneered that relationship?
I'm building on a foundation that was started by the person who had, so one of the programs we have going right now is the teacher training initiative. And so that started this past school year with Emily Gray. And she, I'd say, was like the first foundational person in that, because we had a grant from the Rappaport Foundation and it had been sitting for a little while because we didn't have anyone who could take the position with all the transitions and things like that. Okay. So when that position got started, she started with going out to the schools and really like canvassing and talking to them and seeing how we could work together? How could we connect and be a resource to the community, in a whole? Part of that initiative is empowering teachers and educators, but also empowering them to reach their students through art and to promote artists of color, and to really look at their demographics and who their audience is and how can they reach them through art. So this program that I'm part of is working on that. That's what we're doing right now through, we have our cohort for teachers, which is a group of teachers meeting monthly, and we talk about art, but also like, what are we doing with it with our students? We have guest artists, such as yourself, who came in, which was great, to speak with us and encourage us to learn new things. That's really the main thing behind lifelong learning. And it's been really great to see. So yeah, that's kind of the main idea behind this initiative, I would say.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that event. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Made some new friends out of that thing.
Yeah, that's great. That's the whole thing behind it, is just connecting people and making a community there. Yeah.
So what other programs? That gets schools, families, other programs?
Well, to kind of answer two questions at once, I guess. I'm a big believer in, and we are at Art Center, that to expect the community to be involved with us, we should be involved with the community. So partnering with different creative organizations and different nonprofits, trying to make our space available to people to utilize it for their programs, brings people in. And it just builds a lot of relationships that, as a nonprofit, we really need to lean on each other and help each other. And so anytime there's an opportunity to do that, we definitely do that. We had the film festival here over the summer. We have Baylor percussion group coming actually next week. And so there's just been a lot of different organizations who've come. We've packed the professional artists of Central Texas. They meet here. Making our space available to these other organizations really helps us network, but also, bring new and different people in. And we also we adopted a park this year. So Bells Hill Park is the park that Art Center Waco adopted through Keep Waco Beautiful. So we'll go quarterly and go clean up. We did it. Our first cleanup was a couple weekends ago. So just kind of trying to reach out, as we're asking for people to come and be a part of us.
Yeah. Neat.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear a little bit about how each of you got involved, and like your background in either art or interest in art, and then how you got into this position here.
Do you want to go first?
Sure.
I'm just throwing you in there.
So
Sharon.
Sure. Go for it. I've been in Waco since 2003. My family moved here from Houston, and I wasn't sure if I was going to stay around. I thought I was going to go off to art school somewhere far away. And that wasn't exactly what happened. So I went to MCC, and that was like my first exposure to the Art Center when I was there on campus. And I would, go and check out exhibits and things like that. But I didn't really have like an active role. I just went to look at things. And then I started teaching some classes later after college. I moved away to Dallas or Arlington area to finish school. And then when I came back, I was teaching a ceramics class actually at the Art Center. And it was really neat because it was just like a basement of very old things, probably kind of dangerous or hazardous a little bit.
Was Jonathan Martin there at that time?
He had like just been there, I think, right before I came in. Yeah, and he was making some black oak art, pottery and stuff like that. But I remember we had to go through and like throw away lead-filled glazes other substances. We need like hazmat suits to deal with because it had just been sitting there for a while. So I did that for a little while. I don't even think it was a complete year we were doing those classes. And then I moved on to teaching, and I was teaching art in public school for a while. And then I heard that the Art Center had to close that location because of structural problems and being down in the basement. I was like, yeah, I can see how that was probably highly likely.
Good idea.
But it was such a beautiful place, it really was. It was really sad that was the way it had to happen. But looking at it now, so I didn't really get involved again until this new location opened up. And once I heard about it, I was really excited because there aren't that many art opportunities like it in Waco.
Yeah, sure.
So I wanted to bring my students, my 6th grade students, just to come and see kind of like an exhibit. Some of them had never seen that before. So I think I was the first school to tour the new building, and we brought in our group and we did activities here, and they loved it.
And what school were you with at that time?
That was with Midway at ISD, and that was Woodgate Intermediate School. Okay. Yeah.
Fun.
I was there for a while. And so then when I stopped teaching, I took a little break from teaching and talked to Anna Lauren, and she told me about this new initiative they were doing, asked me if I was interested. And I was like, oh, that's what I've always wanted to do, is work with and help teachers. I came back.
I'm so grateful. We're so grateful. She's been amazing.
Yeah.
Glad
awesome.
you're back. I didn't realize that you had taught classes in the old art center.
Yeah. In the old.
Sounds like a very scary basement.
The old, yeah.
It
was really neat and just so full of history and stories.
Really?
And it was a neat time, but you could see how the chapter was closing and it was time for something new, even when I was there.
Yeah. You kind of perked up when you started talking about teaching teachers or helping teachers. Like, tell me more about that.
Yeah. So when I was at Midway ISD, I was part of, they have a really great program for mentoring new teachers. And I was part of that program for, I think, 2 or 3 years. And I just found just how much it really means to be a person who other teachers can turn to, because teaching is difficult. And sometimes you're the only, especially in the art world, the only one on the campus. And so to have like a support system, I just saw how great that was and how very needed it is. And so when I heard about this initiative, which was basically that, through the Art Center, I just thought, wow, like what a privilege, what a privilege to be able to spend your main focus, helping teachers reach their students and also supporting them and enriching them. Through that.
Well, that was a really dynamic group you pulled together at the Triple Win.
Yeah, we have a great group from Waco ISD and Rappaport. They are our first ones, so I always tell them, thank you for taking this leap of faith with us, this new thing we started. And they're just so enthusiastic. It's really encouraging to me when I see that, because they're just like on it. They want the best for their students and they want to learn and grow. And I couldn't ask for a better group.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
What about you? How'd you get into this?
Oh, well.
And where are you from?
I'm from a couple of places, I guess. So I'm originally from New Jersey. I was born in the East Coast, but my dad worked for the government, so we moved around a ton growing up. We eventually ended up in Big Spring, Texas.
Okay.
I don't know why they decided to stay there, but they did. And now I'm grateful because it worked out the way it was supposed to.
Now, where's Big Spring? Is that
it's west. So like if you hit Abilene, you keep going. And then you hit like Sweetwater, just keep going west.
Keep going.
And when you see oil field trucks and dirt, you have made it to where Big Spring, Midland, Odessa is.
Midland, Odessa, that's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's over there. And it has its own beauty, and you can definitely see every star in the sky there.
Really?
So there's a lot of
Odessa, Permian. That's that same area.
Yes, that's about 45 miles from Big Spring, but it's kind of the Permian Basin. They call that whole space.
That's the football mecca, Plano and Odessa, Permian with the.
Yeah, so you can imagine my little art self in high school in the football mecca of Texas from New Jersey.
My wife's from Long Island, and she moved to Fort Worth. And it was like, so that was her first cross-cultural move.
Oh.
It is though.
Yeah.
It's definitely different so I wasn't really a sports person, and I definitely was not a cheerleader. So art was just always my thing. Since I was super little, I loved it. I remember the first time I went to a museum on a field trip when we lived in Kentucky. We lived in Lexington, Kentucky, and I can still remember how I felt when I walked in. It was like going home. It's such a core memory. I just felt like, oh my gosh, like this is so beautiful and there's so much to see. And it was like all these stories that needed to be told and shared. And I fell in love with it. Wow. And so my love of art has just, been with me since I was a kid. But being in such a not artsy place growing up and being in high school, I definitely made the best of it. I made them create an art 4 class because there was not one that existed. And luckily I was the only one. So they were like, that's fine.
Just do your thing.
They were like, please just don't bother us. But I had a wonderful art teacher who always encouraged me and kept me motivated. And I decided real early on that I wanted to go to college and I wanted to get a degree in studio art.
Okay.
Despite all of the naysayers, because there was lots of, obviously, of course, that's not a field that you send your children into. Generally it's not where you think you're going to make a ton of money. But I really wasn't concerned with that. I just knew that it was what I loved and that it was part of my path and that I was just going to do it and see where it took me. And so I did my undergrad at Sul Ross, and I got an undergrad in studio art and art history. And then I did my master's degree in museum science at Tech. Okay. So it kind of led me to a place where I would be able to work in museums. After I graduated with my undergrad, I was like, okay, I don't want to be an artist professionally. I don't have the chops for it. But I felt very passionately like, I feel like I need to be an advocate. Like, I feel like there are people like who I was, that weird girl in high school who had no place, no outside anything. There was no community art center. There was nothing in the community to support any artists whatsoever. And the little bit that there was in Big Spring was kind of, an older crowd, there wasn't really a place for young people who were interested in art. Sure. So it kind of fueled me to go into museums. And I went into my graduate degree thinking, I'm going to work in an art museum. And I finished my graduate degree and I was like, I don't want to work in an art museum. I love art museums and I love to go to them. But I felt I got to intern at an art center in Colorado. And I loved the combination of it being so community based, but also having like the freedom of having education classes, but having really high-end exhibits. And I lucked out during my time in Colorado, is in Canyon City, Colorado. The art center that I was at the time was hosted a show from Christo and Jean-Claude. And I got to be there for their preliminary drawing show, and they were working on a project over the river. It never came to fruition, unfortunately, and they both have passed since. But I had the opportunity to meet them and hang their art.
No way.
And listen to them talk about how art is for everybody and it should be in the public's eye and it shouldn't be in a gallery. And it just fueled that desire that I had to work in a community arts. And I was like, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. I want to make art available to people who aren't going to get exposed to it otherwise. And I want to make them feel like it's okay that you don't know. It's accessible. Like, you don't have to walk in here and already know everything. And you don't have to have a whole education behind your opinion. You can just have an opinion. You're allowed to look at it and like it or not like it. Yeah. So I ended up, I'm sorry.
No, it's so helpful when you have someone that wants to be an advocate, not like you don't know, but like, hey, let me help you understand and get into this a little bit.
It's a lost thing I found through my graduate degree. Actually, I did a lot of projects and stuff with art museums, and I was like, y'all are really not being open and accessible. Like, it's not these people's fault that they've never heard of these artists. Like, this is your job to make them learn or to provide education and advocacy and a place to have conversations about it. And so I kind of And I'm sure not all art museums are like that. And I think the trend is not the same now as it once was, about like 10 years ago, but 15 years ago.
It wasn't that long
it was
ago.
a little bit ago.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But so I've seen the trends change, which is wonderful. But I think for me in my path, I had to see that. Like that was kind of something that fueled me towards where I was going.
Yeah. You called yourself an advocate. I hadn't heard that term in this context, but I can see that.
Yeah. I like to think of myself as an advocate. I think there are so many important stories that need to be told and shared. And I don't diminish, art as a business. I think it's valid and it's important and it needs to be fostered. I feel like my strength is in sharing and providing a space. And so I can't think of a better place. This is what I wanted to do. Like this job that I have right now
That's awesome.
is what I've wanted to do. It's everything I've worked for in the past 15 years is because this is what I wanted to do.
Well, that's awesome to know. We have someone at Art Center of Waco that's, this is your dream job.
It really is.
Awesome.
It's definitely my dream job. I have all kinds of plans. When I was in Big Spring before I moved here, because we were just supposed to be there temporarily, and that was like 13 years of temporary.
Okay. Yeah.
So I worked in a lot of nonprofits there. I was the director of a history museum, and I was the director of United Way, and so I got a lot of really great the business side of nonprofit work, all of the board work, all of that back end stuff that they don't really teach you in either. You get a little bit of it in museum science studies, but not a ton. So it's turned out to be one of the most valuable things that I've learned over the years is all of that business end.
I wish they would teach the business of everything in university, because you learn the thing and then you don't know how to make money doing the thing.
Exactly. That's definitely something that would be necessary, because I think people might make different decisions if they realize how much work actually goes into the business end
part of it.
Of things, especially in the creative world. It's a lot of little things that add up to a lot of time. And if your heart is not in it, if you're not passionate about it, it'll burn you out super fast.
Yeah.
Even people who are really passionate, it wears on you fighting the fight for everybody else, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
It's worth it. So. It's great to have advocates and guides that, show the path on how to make it work.
Yeah. I am, it's a big joke with my kids. I have 2 kids and 2 boys, and they were really happy when I got this job because they didn't want to listen to me talk on the way to school about art every single day back and forth there. I was like, y'all are my audience, so you have to listen. So it's nice to have this. I'm allowed to. It's my job.
How old are your kiddos?
14 and 9.
Okay. I have a 14-year-old.
Oh, do you?
Girl, boy. But
fun, right?
Is 14. Yeah. So never a dull moment.
Never. Yeah. But we were excited whenever I got to a place where I was ready to kind of leave the area that we were in, and my husband's job was allowing for it. And so I just kind of cast a net and looked for jobs and saw this one open, threw my name in the hat, and seriously did not think I was going to get a phone call at all. I was sure that I was getting filed and forgotten. And so I was just thrilled whenever it all worked out. I was very, very excited.
And you've been in this position for 2 years, you say?
No, not even a year. I came in June.
Okay, great.
But I like that you think I've been here long. Some days it feels like 10 years. Some days it feels like 2 months. It just depends on what's going on.
Okay, fun.
Yeah.
Well, neat. I'm trying to think of where to go from there, because it's such a... What kind of things are on y'all's mind for right now that you'd like to share about? We can edit this little part out here. I usually don't edit these much, but if we want to regroup for a second, okay. I want to talk about the programs. Mm-hmm. I want to make it accessible, invite people in. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about memberships.
Yes.
And how do you pick the artists? So those are 2 things I want to.
Okay. And I know we're kind of in a state of transition in a good way because of, I think it's been in transition since they moved from they had to move out of the other building. And so with me coming in and me being new to the community and new to everything, which is a good and bad thing, sometimes just depends. There's really a movement forward of evolving with the community, like trying to catch up with everything that's been going on in Waco and become extremely relevant and accessible, and give a voice to those who might not have one, having a very diverse exhibit, and also having programs that are accessible to anyone regardless of their like socioeconomic status. So those are like really becoming invested in the community, I guess.
Yeah, you mentioned like where you're over there in that building that's an ancient building, beautiful ancient building, and then this is all going on just 2 blocks this way is Magnolia and the whole.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like you're time warped from the 70s into
Right.
Waco, booming Waco.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you are in a bit of a transition.
Yeah. And transitions are always a little tricky, but we have such a great foundation, like Sharon said, and I'm sure like Jill and Alice have told you, there's so much history, and there's so many people who love Art Center and have invested and put time and effort and money into it. And so the desire to keep building it and having it grow and become, bigger, and I don't want to say better, but like just something that people like look forward to coming and doing. Like I think it's a challenge with any museum to know knowing your audience. Like, unfortunately, I'm realistic, and I realize like people are not going to just show up on a Saturday. Some people do, but like with given the choice and seeing as how the silos are there, understanding what our kind of competition is or what our challenges are, like it's even more important that we have engaging programs and like family stuff and kids stuff. And even we're trying to gear up our adult classes and programs and exhibits that actually make people feel like they can see themselves in it. So like something that speaks to them. And the only way to do that is to have lots of different exhibits so that we're able to catch the eye of, everyone people love different art. Everyone's got to, in the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm. So is there one exhibit right now, or are there several? Is this one artist?
This is one. This is our Kohelet exhibit, and it's actually a traveling exhibit that we did in collaboration with Baylor Press.
Okay.
They published the book Kohelet, a life, searching for a life worth living, and which we have for sale on our gift shop. Okay. The artist Deborah Band, she did illuminated manuscript for the Kohelet, which is Ecclesiastes in the Christian Bible, but in the Hebrew Torah, it's Kohelet. So
I didn't know this. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So part of the page, part of the exhibit is in Hebrew, and then the other part is in English, the English translation. And you always lose a little bit in translation with any languages. So her artwork really fills in those kind of spaces to help tell the story of Kohelet, who's the author of the scripture. Who they think is King Solomon, but you don't really know.
Kohelet is the word, the teacher or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have it here until the 16th, and then I have to ship it back. It's actually going to Chicago, a school in Chicago, and it came from the divinity school at Duke University.
Okay.
And it's been a really interesting exhibit. I've learned so much. I think we all became students again. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for Aaron and Sharon, because they dove into research, and then, I did the same. And by the time we kind of figured it all out and how we wanted to present it, because it's a lot of information. Yeah. It's going to go
40 manuscripts here? What are
60. There's 60.
And it just 12 little books or 12 little chapters in Ecclesiastes, I think.
Yeah. So and we've had a lot of it's brought in a lot of different visitors too, which is really nice. It's and so this is a great example of having different types of artwork and different mediums and different viewpoints, so that we're able to, reach everybody, and there's something for everyone.
So how would one find out, like, how do you promote this exhibition to the community? We talked about the schools.
It's about the same. We really rely a lot on social media. We because we did it in collaboration with Baylor, we had them pumping it out to all their professors and their students and stuff like that. We have a good relationship with the Baylor Lariat too, so they usually come and do a story on what's going on. We have, of course, we reach out to our members, and we have a newsletter that goes out to them, and we have an email list that we're always building on. As any place we can get the word out, we try to do that. If people bring it to our attention, like, oh, hey, I didn't hear about it, then we try to add that to our list of places that we need to reach out to and share our information with.
Okay.
So
Neat. So how do you find these exhibitions? Like, how do you choose the artists? How do you...
Well, this one actually was arranged before I got here.
Okay.
And it was just a conversation between one of our board members and somebody over at Baylor Press, and they were looking for a place to exhibit this to also help promote the book that they were publishing. And so it really just kind of worked out it was very serendipitous that it worked out the way it was. And our board member and the folks over at Baylor Press are just amazing. And so they just coordinated it. How we kind of handle exhibits now, like looking to the future, our exhibit calendar is booked out through the beginning of 2025, which is very exciting.
Okay, wonderful.
But we have an application process. So anybody who's an arts organization or a solo artist who would like to exhibit, they fill out the form and the paperwork, and then it goes to our exhibits committee. And we look at our calendar and we kind of look at if it fits our scope or where we could put it. We want to be able to exhibit as many people as we can. So our next upcoming exhibit is a juried exhibit. And that's a really great way to bring in artists from all over. This one was sent out to all artists all over the state. And so it's going to be a great exhibit. It's going to be very diverse, lots of different artwork, lots of different mediums, lots of different viewpoints about the eclipse. So I'm really excited.
It's about the eclipse.
Yes, it's about it's in celebration of the eclipse.
Shining Shadows.
Shining Shadows
Is the title.
Yes.
And everyone has a different interpretation of what a shining shadow is or eclipse. So
Wow, okay.
So having juried exhibits is a really great way, because we're not going to be able to, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to give a solo exhibit to every artist who applies.
That's a lot of work.
It is, and there's so many wonderful artists. So having juried exhibits or having open calls for our members, situations like that, it's a really great way to be able to at least try and get everybody in somehow or another.
Wow. Okay. Have there been any ceramic artists in here yet?
Not since I've been here.
Not yet. Okay. Well, it's a pretty new space. Just how long have you been here? A year and a half?
I have only been here actually since December.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, but how long have you
But
been?
in this building,
It's in 2021.
21.
Yeah,
Okay.
2021.
So a few years. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's another thing we kind of look at when we're looking at our calendar, like what medium can we showcase that we haven't in the past, and let's look for artists through that. So
if you know anyone who does
Paul McCoy is, he's just a hero.
He was one of the judges for our exhibit, our Eclipse exhibit.
Okay.
And actually I take that back. So our 50th anniversary exhibit, some of his work was in that because he's exhibited at Art Center in the past.
Well, there's a man named Nico who teaches at MCC, right? But he was at Baylor, and he's married to Susan Kennedy. They're both phenomenal, amazing artists. There's the who's who of ceramic arts. Well, the who's who of potters and ceramic arts is the Texas Clay Fest every year. And they're all three in that. Oh, Paul doesn't go to that, I don't think. I haven't seen him in 20 years, but I did see Susan and Nico. So fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what about memberships? Like I heard, how does the membership thing work and what does it do?
Membership is a really great way to support us.
Okay.
It's an annual membership. You get, each level has a certain, amount of benefits.
And they can find this on the website?
They can all find all of this on the website.
Okay.
We're updating it right now. So hopefully by the time this is seen, it's updated and current. But we have membership starting at like $40. It goes all the way up to like $5,000.
Okay.
So we try to be accommodating of all wallets. Because, but we have a lot of great perks with memberships. Like with our camps and our classes, you get a discount on that. We do rentals for some of our gallery space. We rent out for events and parties. And so some of the higher memberships get discounts and stuff for that, and discounts in the gift shop and, our newsletter. There's a lot of really great benefits, but the biggest benefit is that without membership, we wouldn't be able to keep doing what we're doing. Since we're nonprofit, we depend on donations, memberships, grants, anything like that to be able to continue functioning and continuing offering stuff to the community. So membership is really important. And we're going to be doing a membership drive hopefully this summer just to really kind of push it out. But we're doing updates right now. So.
What does that look like, membership drive? Just
we're just going to probably try to, put it in everybody's face all over the place as much as we possibly can.
Will we do like a hotline where we answer the phone?
That would be great. I would love a hotline.
We'll get celebrities.
That'd be great. We'll have like a telethon.
Local celebrities to answer.
That's a good idea. Or we'll tag it into some of our family days that we have. We try to push membership at any of our exhibit openings or anything like that. We kind of try to always remind everybody, like, we're able to do this. We're able to be open, free to the public. We're able to offer these classes and have the lights on, because we have members who continually support us.
That's great. Yeah. What age groups do you try to hit with the, not workshops, but the things you do with the kids here?
Really, we're aiming to hit toddlers through teens. Okay. We see more interest in the toddler through maybe 4th grade group.
I could see that.
We're really trying to get those teens to come in. So we started offering an art venture class on, I think it's once a month on Thursday night.
I think so, yeah.
And that's with a partnership through Creative Waco with Art Apprenticeship. So they have a group that they work with in the summers from Waco ISD, and they take student artists and connect them with a professional artist, and they do a lot of the murals around Waco. Oh. So we partnered with their alumni to do the art venture where we can bring in teens who are interested in art, and they can share their experiences with them and have studio time and creating together. So I'd say toddler through teens, although right now I think our biggest groups are the younger ones. Yeah. But we want to increase for everyone, all ages.
What was the group you mentioned? Creative Waco?
Creative Waco.
Now, I don't know about this group.
So you would be a good person to share on Creative Waco.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're an arts organization in the community, and they basically support all of the other arts organizations in the community.
How do they support?
They have grants available. Okay. They advocate. They provide education opportunities. They have things like our apprenticeship. They coordinate creative events and festivities and cultural festivities within the community. The Dia de los Muertos, the parade, and everything that went into it last year, that was all Creative Waco. They do so much, really? and they just are all about promoting and sharing and encouraging all of the arts within the community of Waco.
Is it a large organization?
It's a medium-sized organization, I would say. They have a large impact across the whole entire county, honestly. Okay. But I wouldn't call them like a corporation or anything. They're also a nonprofit. So.
Okay. Yeah. Who runs it?
Fiona Bond is the executive director right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I think she's been for a while, actually. I think she's a founder.
Yeah. I keep thinking that Creative Waco is newer, but then I realize that I'm just getting older, and it's actually been around for a little while now. And she's done some really great things. And I think the new cultural arts center that they're wanting to create by the river, I know that they were a big part of that, Creative Waco. Yeah.
So we were here, 20 years ago, and then we're back. So it's kind of like, I know how
you're
Waco
having
was.
time warp too.
Yeah.
I kind of got thrown in. Yeah. But fun.
And they're a wonderful supporter of Art Center too.
Creative
Waco. Oh yeah. And always. They're very, very supportive of us. We're very grateful for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of where is Art Center going? Art Center Waco going? What do you see fast forward a couple years, 5 years, or what are some of the initiatives you're wanting to see blow up here in the next few years?
Well, education and exhibits are the heart of everything that we do. So having a really robust, our education program is wonderful and so amazing. And I hope to continue to build on it. I think that is in my heart, that is one of the most important things that we do here. And then exhibits, of course, I would love to be able to be booked out 6 years in advance and have artists from, one end of the state to the other, and be able to always be a space for, Waco ISD kids, but also, bring in high-end art from different places, or more traveling exhibits. Bring art to Waco that people might not be able to get out of the state or get out of the city to be able to see. So making it accessible to them. So I think, my overall goal would be to make sure that those things are growing and that they are sustained, and that our membership grows and people come back and are just as invested as they were when Art Center was in its, heyday, I think, over at MCC. I would love to have more partnerships with other organizations. I would love to be able to partner in some way or another with Magnolia at some point. I don't even have any idea how that would happen or work, but we're so close. And I think that we could help them. They would probably help us way more than we could help them. But I think it'd be a beautiful partnership since they're so art-based and they're so creative, and all the work they do is so valid and so beautiful. But really just being a staple and knowing that we're going to be able to sustain for another 50 years is my biggest goal, building on what we already are doing and becoming, getting a bigger staff would be great so we could do more things. Just really moving forward that way.
On the education front, do y'all ever record when the artists speak about the work?
We do. I know that we have in the past, like we have them, I think.
I'm not sure if we have a space to put them on, like to host the recordings on. I don't think we have a YouTube.
We don't, but I guess that we could. I mean, that's definitely something to think about. See, I need more people.
These good ideas.
Many wonderful ideas.
Well, that's what always makes things so accessible. I find that I can get into people's work so much more once I hear them talk about it a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We try to have an artist talk with every exhibit that's got especially solo or smaller, like 1 or 2 people exhibits. It makes it such a difference because a lot of times the way you're experiencing it is valid and amazing, but to hear them talk about it, like you said, just kind of brings this whole new light to, okay, so that's why they picked this color, or that's the story they're sharing, or, so we try to make sure that we always have those, but we do record them. I know that we have the recordings.
Yeah, I would love that. And because then you can, maybe you have 200 people at that, what do you call it? The opening or the
opening reception or the artist talk. We have a separate event for that.
Yeah, but probably a couple hundred people maybe. But when you reach out beyond that, and you slice it up into little small chunks that kind of hook people in, we could go really broad.
Absolutely.
Get a lot more people.
And I love that idea. And it just kind of comes back to the challenge of like,
you got to staff this.
Yeah, I'm the only full-time person.
Right.
So,
right. Huge
so
challenge.
being able to sustain and build the programs and build our financial stability would allow for us to be able to really reach more people. And I think that is absolutely possible. It's just it takes one, you have to do one thing at a time.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, I'd love to help with that. That sounds really fun.
I'm going to hold you to that. And it's recorded. So
now
you're on the hook. So I'm glad to know that.
Awesome. Well, were there any other stories or relationships or things that y'all wanted to share during this time?
Well, I feel more like a newbie. Alice and Jill they have like the rich history.
Since 72 is when it started.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing. So as far as that, I don't know if I have a lot of stories or anything. I mean, just the scary basement, but that was about it. But other ones.
I remember that building. I was over there a few times.
Did you go in the basement?
Never.
Okay.
No.
I have a policy to just not go to any basement.
Just stay out of basements in Texas.
It's not.
You have to get the door unlocked for you. And then I always had that like slight, like, is it going to unlock when I want to leave? Like
that makes me panic now. I don't know how you did that. Yeah.
But I remember Jonathan talking about that place.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was in a lot of buildings. He was with Peter Ellis's Praetorian building. Yeah. And he had one of those kilns at the very base of the elevator
did he?
shaft.
Okay. Yeah.
So he did all sorts of.
I met him, when would that be? Like 2018 maybe. And I actually met him doing an interview for my students. And then I worked at Black Oak for one summer.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
more just for the experience than anything. I think I was pretty slow for production. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have it down yet, but it was a good experience. Yeah, either way.
I love the heart that he carried for mentoring people and having them grow. And
yeah, he definitely was a community advocate and wanting people to learn and having the patience to teach them.
Yeah. Good dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Anything else you'd like to?
Well, I'm grateful that I walked into this job and had an amazing team that was already here and didn't leave when I got here. Because you just never know, when you come into a new situation. And I think it's a very rare thing to have a group of people who are as passionate about, the mission as you are. And it doesn't feel like I have part-time help. It feels like I have full-time help because, when they're here like 175%. And I know that I could not do it without my staff. Like they're amazing. You're amazing. Like everything happens.
We have a really great director too.
Well, I don't know about that. I heard she's kind of crazy, but fun, but crazy. But it makes a difference when, in this work, especially being a nonprofit, a lot of times there's so much that happens behind the scenes. There's so many little things and little wins and, you get a grant, you don't get a grant, you have all this thing that has to happen. And having a team that, is right there with you and helping you along is just, I'm so grateful for that. And I have a wonderful board too, a very supportive board that is passionate about Art Center. And so all of that, I think, makes just a world of difference. And I think that's why it's been around for 50 years, is because there's so many people who love it and want to see it succeed. And so I'm really happy to be a part of that team.
That's fun. I think the best days are yet to come.
I agree.
I get so excited about that. It's just, you could throw a rock and hit the coffee shop from here.
Yeah,
I will do that. But there's just so much opportunity for spillover, and y'all are so invested in the community. And we met randomly through you reaching out to the community. So yeah.
See, amazing staff.
Amazing staff.
Amazing people.
Good people. Yeah. Waco's full of good people.
I agree with that. As not a local, y'all are super nice. I'm used to West Texas. We're a little rough around the edges, but so it's been really nice, and everyone's so welcoming, which has been great.
It's a good place. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's a good place to end.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in.
I appreciate it. I'm excited to see it.
These